What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Web3 Rundown. Joe and I are going to kick off a great rundown show here. A lot of news out there. The markets are up and down as always. Joe, how you doing today?
Good. Things are never a boring week here in crypto, so excited.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Well, depending on when this episode comes out, tomorrow is considered Liberation Day. So we're going to learn more about the tariffs. And as of right now, I want to share my screen a little bit here. As of right now, the news seems to be slightly bullish, or I guess flat, I should say. We've just been chopping. We're down a little bit, probably where we were last week. It looks like, yeah, about 3%. But Bitcoin 85K, Ethereum still not above that $2,000 mark. XRP $2, Solana buck 27. Some interesting numbers there. No tremendous movements here, but tomorrow it could have some fireworks in it. Have you been following the news at all with this Liberation Day?
I just heard about it yesterday that it was named Liberation Day, and I had to ask you if that was something he created or it was something that's upon the new administration, and the new rules. Is it something that's been there before? Yeah, I guess I'll be celebrating or, crying tomorrow alongside everyone else. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, nobody knows, and yeah, I've read everything across the board where we're gonna have more favorable tariff results, and there's gonna be big announcements. I did also read that South Korea, Japan, and another country, I can't remember off the top of my head, were all forming an alliance to combat the United States tariff regulations. So we're seeing a lot of movement here, a lot of talk about it. It was affecting the market quite a bit a few weeks ago. You know, that's when we were in the $74,000 range, 76, something along those lines. But we've kind of flattened out now. We're just continuing to chop. Joe, any vibe here overall with the market? As always, there's bullish news, but just kind of curious how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I saw that we dropped 10 points on the Fear and Greed Index, which from last week, which is a lot. And I'm going into how is this index calculated through CoinMarketCap? A lot of it's based off of price momentum, volatility, derivatives market, market composition, and their own proprietary data, which, by the way, has an API that we could run through an AI bot should we create one. Totally besides the point, but very interesting on how they calculate kind of sentiment. So basically, overall sentiment is down. Personally, I am kind of just the same I've been the whole year. We knew this is going to be very choppy because of what's going to happen with the regulations, and now we're seeing it unfold real time. So I think it's probably going to get even choppier with the swings of the news. Like anything that bleeds leads. So any industry or sector that gets impacted is going to like swing fares wildly one way or another. Yeah, and then I think it's going to iron out towards Q3. So we'll see what's going to happen. Like I famously said that, hey, let's get ahead of buying cars because cars are going to go through the roof, and now I'm seeing people on the news getting ahead of that trend. They're buying cars. So there's a side where people's fearful not spending any money, and then there's a side where people are like hoarding. They're like, I'm going to get all the toilet paper, like back in the COVID days and try to get ahead of this thing.
Yeah, you nailed it. There's a lot of signals here that a chop looks like where we're headed. I've been using that word a lot throughout this bull and bear market. We had an extended period of time when I remember communicating to our community, "Hey, we're gonna chop for a while, get comfy." We saw a major increase with the administration and all the bullish news, with the Trump family literally have their hands in any sort of digital asset or crypto news with World Liberty Financial, with all of the legislation that they've been talking about. And now we see the Trump family is even getting involved in Bitcoin mining. Uh, I guess here's a question for you, Joe, and I'm gonna give my thoughts here and then kick it over to you. Trump, David Sachs is kind of famously known right now for pretty much liquidating or just absolving his crypto position once he took his position in the administration, and we applauded him. We're like, hey, no conflict of interest. That's something we've been bashing Congress for forever. And it almost feels like the Trump family is doing the polar opposite. Anything crypto related, digital asset related, they seem to be getting their hands on. So it's one of two ways you can look at this. This could be bullish because the one of the most powerful families and the most powerful man in the world has been getting as much exposure as he possibly can into the crypto market. Now he's adding Bitcoin mining. Then on the other hand, on the other side of things, it feels like almost a higher chance of like founder's risk. And I don't want crypto. He's not a founder, but you know what I mean by like the founder, the association risk. And I don't want crypto to become a partisan issue. I always want it to be bipartisan because I believe in the technology, the use of the blockchain. But one path that seems really clear to me is this Bitcoin mining. That's if the Trump family is in it or not. The United States needs to take a bigger step into mining, in my opinion. And the reason why I like that is, okay, see, it's probably easier to sell to the other executive branches or the government branches because we're not spending a ton of taxpayer money, I'd imagine. We're not selling gold assets. And I think we should do all of these things, but we're not selling gold assets to probably get into mining. And we have an abundance of energy and all sorts of energy in the United States. Just kind of throwing a lot of my thoughts out there at you. I love the path that the United States could get more into mining. I don't know how much I love the Trump family continuously popping up all over the news associated with getting exposure to crypto. And I don't want to say the wrong ways, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see what effect he has or his sons have on, the overall industry. I don't think it's, they moved much. Like they were out there saying, "Hey, good time to get into your Ethereum." Remember that this last what 3 weeks, 4 weeks, your Ethereum's gone down since since that time. So maybe they do what is it affect it in a negative way. So maybe we should uh have them back down on all this Bitcoin Ethereum talk. We don't want them bringing down Bitcoin. But for sure, the macro wise, I would say I'll just bring up the article that shares the American Bitcoin, what they're getting into of Hut 8. I would say overall outlook is still bullish. Like when you asked about the macro, I thought we were going to chop up, but it seems like we're just chopping sideways. I mean, we'll see. We still have, it's early, right? My another miner, Bitcoin mining company Mara, is raising $2 billion to get into the Bitcoin strategy, the one that Michael Saylor employed and everyone else is adopting. And that's why I'm bullish, is because there's a large accumulation by large players of Bitcoin. Tether bought 8,888, which means that they are an Asian company because only, and this article talks about that because only Asian people buy in denominations of eight. So they held $7.8 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is great, because Tether is a stable coin, and they're bolstering their sheets. Michael Saylor has we thought they were going to slow down. They've steamrolled past 500,000. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a prediction market. Are they going to break 500,000? They're like, you know what? We're not only going to break it, we're going to go steam. They bought another 2 billion, close to $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. They're holding close to $35 billion now. So, and this is just like the top ones that are buying. A lot of institutions are buying also, like Larry Fink and whatnot. It's a lot of bullishness. Fidelity applied for a Solana ETF alongside everything else. There's just a lot of movement in crypto overall. So excited overall.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. What's that making Michael Saylor's average buy? I think I saw 67, $68,000 per Bitcoin. So he's crunching that number. What if he would have bought gold with that at the beginning of the year? Because the only reason I
Right.
say is gold hit an all-time high. And I'm a huge proponent of Bitcoin over gold. Just a little tongue in cheek there, but the ultimate Giga Chad is still absolutely bullish, but his average price, 67, 68,000, is definitely creeping up there.
Yeah, I think it's low in my opinion. I think a majority of, like the Fidelities of the world that's gotten in during this time, they gotten at notably a higher time than the rest of the OGs or the trench warriors. And they're not in it to lose money, guys. Like
Yeah.
they're just getting started. So we do have a bit of a ways to go from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been an exciting time in the macro, even if we have been chopping. The reason it's been exciting is, again, like every time we do a rundown show, there's like some huge news story that pops off. And we're doing this a day before good old Liberation Day. So who knows how it's going to react, but we'll absolutely talk more about that on next week's rundown.
Yeah, yeah. There's still a lot going on, right? Like In the world of meme coins, this is the first that I've seen. Let me share my screen here. I have never seen a meme coin make an acquisition. My jaw kind of dropped when I saw this week. Exchange.art, I'm familiar with them. We brought them on our podcast. They're one of the first exchanges in Solana when I got started in this game, like 2022, I believe. And Bonk acquired them. I didn't know meme coins could buy companies. They have a DAO kind of setup, but they actually have like leadership installed as a takeover for Exchange.art to make them a vibrant marketplace again. It's just interesting news. Like in the midst of a lot of what is it price movement downwards in terms of meme, Bonk is still relatively strong. Let me see how much they are in terms of market cap. But yeah, I like it. I like Bonk.
Yeah, it has to be close to a billion, above a billion, right?
937 million.
Yeah. I mean, still, even though that we've taken a massive hit in all things digital asset related as of right now, compared to where we were at the highs earlier this year, Bonk still is making moves out there, and acquiring Exchange.art is exciting. When you shared that with me, I think just the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, we had them on the podcast, and they were a cool company. So I'm excited to see what Bonk's gonna do. I mean, we obviously know they're more than just a cute dog found on Solana. They definitely have a vision here to grow.
Yeah, they have a lot of holders. They have 900,000 holders because they were airdrop for, the vast majority of Solana ecosystem. But their price trajectory acts like Doge, like not cabal driven, but like they're incumbent driven by their blockchain. Let's like Doge is their own blockchain, and then Bonk is Solana, and it's driven by a lot of those kind of OG holders. So they're always going to be these run ups and spikes. I wouldn't say coordinated, but it's a great time to buy right now. They're down from the highs of $4 or $5 billion market cap all the way down to sub 1 billion, and we know they're not going around with this acquisition and all the integrations. They're available across 11 different blockchains, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, we've been big fans of Bonk for a while, and you've even talked with our private community. There's ways to stake that coin, right?
Yeah, I staked mine for a year.
Okay, nice. What do you earn? Like, do you earn more Bonk?
Yeah, it's based off of like trading fees and whatnot. So it's not I need to double check this. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't believe they're inflationary. I think it's just based off of trading volume. But yeah, you earn more bonk for sure.
Gotcha. Very nice. Yeah, it's probably like trading fees or trading volume. Another meme coin that kind of caught fire. Did we talk about this on our last rundown show? Was this Ghibli, the what am I, the image generator on OpenAI? That took the world by storm for like 2 days. Every single picture on my Twitter feed, or X feed, I should say, was Ghibli, or I believe I'm saying it right. It's Ghibli, Ghibli
Yeah.
this, Ghibli that. And then we even had the good old White House. I'm looking for the link here. Tweet out, and it was probably a little bit bad taste, to be honest with you. I don't even want to get into the political side of things about what they tweeted, but they tweeted out Ghibli images here, which are really ridiculous as well. And this caught fire. It ran all the way up to like 30, $40 million market cap. But as always, kind of died off when the hype lost a complete interest, very similar to what we talked about last week, morning routine. That had a nice little run up to 30, 40 million. Please had a good run up to 50 million. This Ghibli was a runner right around $35 million all-time high. So we're still seeing some life in the meme coin world, but nothing's holding attention like it was months ago. Everyone's kind of moving on to the next thing. It almost feels like it's a race to the exit once you get into some of these really popular ones early.
Yeah, my wife loves a character within Ghibli. I would have totally got in that train. You sent it to me at 13 million, and then when we talked about it last week, it was close to 40. I would have exited within a quick 50% up probably. Especially in these times, you have to get out quicker than normal. Some people employ the strategy of every 20% up, you take 5, 10% out. But when the market's like this, you take like everything out. Like sometimes I took stuff out at 30% up because 30% is amazing. But yeah, there's still some interesting plays here. I think I might have gotten in an early morning routine if I caught it within that, you sent it to me. I don't know when you sent it to me, but it might have been a good time during that time also. All I got to say, Brian, is you got some fire calls because I would not have thought of morning routine being a meme coin as fast as it developed.
Yeah, I didn't see it developing as fast as it popped up either. And then I get gun shy a little bit of like when to exit. I didn't buy a tremendous amount of either. I don't even think I bought Ghibli, even though I was watching it closely and trying to see what the catalyst was to get it to like the next to 50 million to $100 million market cap. But it really feels like we're stalling out. Once we start to get any sort of momentum, the market reacts with selling off. Very similar to what you just said, like 30%, 40% win feels like a huge win right now. But back a few months ago, we were like, hey, put another zero behind that. We're looking for 300, 400% wins. My personal trading strategy right now has been, and this is not financial advice, but it has been less buying into any speculative meme coins. It's been really buying into like the bonks of the world, like more established meme coins, just slowly putting some extra funds into those for the next run. But in addition to that, I've always been a big fan of Wayfinder and Prime and Prompt, and I've been investing quite a bit into that platform as well because it's AI integrated, has a lot of money backing it, has a lot of hype talking around it. So, and it's a way to earn passively. You're kind of the DeFi king between us, but any ways that you can get your money to work for you in these, down markets is something I'm always interested in.
Yeah, definitely not financial advice, but my personal strategy, and I mentioned this to our community, is to not hold Ethereum. And I'll get into DeFi in a second. Because Ethereum and their stats on this, it's been the same for 4 to 5 years. The price has been stagnant. I don't believe the ETFs will help. There's only like outflows, a little bit of inflows. I mean, big institutions are still deploying it within their assets underneath management, which is weird. Like BlackRock, 3x their Ethereum assets underneath management within this last 3 weeks. So maybe they know something that we don't because they're either in for a world of hurt or they know something that we don't. So, yeah, I'm curious what that is because none of us are telling any of our friends to buy Ethereum at this point. I don't think. I know you picked up a little bit because it was down so much, maybe to trade, buy some memes or NFTs and whatnot. But I told our community, I'm like, I'd rather hold Pepe, the token, which is on Ethereum, than Ethereum itself. Maybe that's a good hedge. So that's just one opinion, and we'll see if that's going to be the right play after another 4 to 5 years. But the L2s are just cannibalizing the fees and people operating on Ethereum itself. Like there's articles out there that base paid Ethereum like $1 million within these last 90 days, which is very little, considering how big Ethereum is and a lot of other things like that. But there's a lot of DeFi plays right now that are in certain ecosystems. A Bear Chain has they experience some FUD, so they have some high APR rates that one of our colleagues mentioned to us. So thank you, shout out Rohit and Encrypt Nation, and on Sonic, they notorious not notorious they rose to $1 billion TVL, basically $1 billion within the liquidity pools within 66 days, outperforming like a lot of other blockchains. And for those of you who are like, oh, who cares about TVL? I need to find that tweet out there. I'll actually pull up really quickly. But basically, for people like us who are utilizing our liquidity for DeFi, we can make more money than actually having money from the native blockchain with its, staking or um, interest rates from there. So I'll just share that really, really quickly so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, DeFi has entered the demand stage where liquidity pools, which is basically TVL, are making more money from protocol fees than from token incentives. So basically, utilizing the protocol versus just holding and staking it, you'll make more money providing liquidity. And I can say that's true for myself. I've been experimenting with different types of DeFi platforms and getting some better yields than SoFi Bank. I think I'm on record saying this for the last 2, 3 weeks, and I've shown that with data with our private community. So definitely there are ways to make some money. You're not going to be popping 10x's like Morning Routine or Ghibli, but there's definitely some good places to put some emergency reserves because a lot of people are holding emergency reserves right now with the tariff scares. But I wouldn't full port into DeFi, right? Because there is risk. There's smart contract risk. There's third party risk. There's vendor risk. So if you're not like too savvy, and even I am with me that am savvy, I'm actually deploying more today because I'm actually enjoying it. But I'm not going to do my entire like bag of emergency funds. I still live in the real world for right now.
It feels great to watch that number go up. Like you log in and you see your rewards, you see what you've earned or your APR, and you're just like, this can't be real. That's the fun part of it. That's the gamification part of it.
Yeah, today's April 1st, and I use SoFi, and I got my interest on the first of the month, and I'm like, I got like 25 bucks. I don't know what it was. I'm like, this would be tremendously more because I'm getting like 3% a day in DeFi, but in the world of TradFi, SoFi's giving you 3 to 4% a year. So I'm like, man, I'm so itchy to just move it all over. But I'm like, the moment I do, something may happen. So I'm like tempered a little bit.
Yeah, it's always a slippery slope. That's why it's so important to diversify because anything could happen, obviously, and we've seen it here in the crypto world. Literally anything could happen. But great tips there, Joe. There's been a lot of news out here recently. What OpenAI, we have an article here somewhere. OpenAI got what was it value? Did it get valued at $300 billion and they got 40 billion in funding? Is that what the news is here?
Yeah. So the reason I bring that up was AI is moving really, really fast. And then for a second, people thought that, Google and X and all these other AI companies would crush OpenAI. But OpenAI came out of the Ghibli thing, right? And the Ghibli thing literally melted their GPUs. People were utilizing so much. So basically, they're doing very well. They're valued at 300 billion, which I don't know what ranking that is in terms of an IPO, but it's got to be up there. And another thing I wanted to bring up, and if you could just let me share my screen really quickly,
Yeah.
is OpenAI has a blockchain, believe it or not. So they have a blockchain and they're running a mini apps kind of incubator. They're letting developers, get in on this reward, a $300,000 reward to build apps on their blockchain called World. So it's called World. It's not Sam Altman's World. It's the World blockchain, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of people confused. So they're giving out $300,000 in World token. And for those who don't remember or don't want to remember, the World blockchain is L2 on Ethereum, okay? But it's its own, blockchain supposedly. And their job is to help with identification of humans versus, AI agents or robots. They want to help make sure that the provenance of identity, stays true in the world of blockchain because he sees that AI is going to really need this type of this feature. And I'm not sure you remember, he sent out 12 orbs across the world to scan people's irises. And there's a love-hate relationship with those as I dug deeper. Some people hated it, some people love it. In any case, World Blockchain has raised not I'm not sure if they got so much money. They got $30 billion just right now from SoftBank. This blockchain has $250 million in their reserves. And this is just like a side project for him. And it's probably ranked like if it did have I mean, I think it does have a token that's on CoinMarketCap. Let me just check right now.
Yeah,
But I just wanted
WorldCoin, I think. World isn't it WorldCoin, if I remember this correctly, and you got like $50 for scanning your eye, but it wasn't in the United
something like
States. I
that.
remember people were like, and I remember thinking at the time, not that I'm going to do anything, but I didn't. I think the token's like WLD.
WLD, yeah. So it is on CoinMarketCap. Number 64 token. And wow, that's interesting.
What's the market cap?
It's at 1 billion market cap. It is not fully diluted. So it's got a large unlocks, and we need to check if it's inflationary or whatnot. I mean, it could be an interesting play, right? This can be or is the number one AI platform as of late, and they have a token floating out there, not necessarily open AI token, but in a loose way affiliated with AI. So just something interesting that I saw floating around there and kind of how he's getting into AI and if the world of AI agents with autonomy and monetary movement through crypto does happen soon, then this is just something very interesting that's playing out.
OpenAI worth 300 billion bucks. They got 40 billion. I mean, this is with a B. These numbers don't even feel real. You know? It's pretty amazing. Well, there's some other pretty big noise. I was gonna say noise because I was just reading it. Cato or the Cato Yaps and Noise integrated. I'll share my screen for everyone to take a look here as well. It's pretty interesting. It is Cato's kind of like measures like um attention on crypto Twitter, and they've partnered with Noise as well for a pretty interesting partnership here, Joe. It's going to be on Mega ETH. So that's another blockchain using Cato as the backend data, and it's a stand-up platform where you can essentially long or short social trends or just trends overall. So if you think something's going to be talked about more or talked about less, you can long or short it. Pretty interesting kind of point of view here with how much activity's going around social media. But just wanted to call that out because it kind of fits a little bit into the AI space. But a pretty big partnership that went under the radar.
Very interesting. Yeah, AI development right now, I mean, on my I is piquing my interest. Would love to learn a little bit about, how to incentivize myself in that space a little bit more. And I think it's coming. I think it's coming. And there's people out there right now on X, they're utilizing AI in a lot of different ways to make money on crypto, whether it be asking for a strategy, asking for a yield advice, asking, where to do perps like you mentioned, and is giving good advice. So that's something I might have to do.
Yeah, I think that's the first step is just I used AI just recently personally for some stuff to just and you hear about this a lot, just to replace Google search. And I absolutely was just between Grok and ChatGPT was going back and forth asking it questions to help replace Google search. And I'm like, this has got legs here. We all know it does. It integrates so well with crypto. But again, pretty encouraging to see OpenAI get valued at 300 billion. I think the most encouraging thing about that is that there's still belief in the United States AI progression as well. Remember when DeepSeek came out and everybody was really freaking out about that and the chip and how efficient it was? Well, with this valuation of OpenAI, $300 billion, it looks like people are pretty bullish on where we're going as a country as well in the AI space. And I do think that's the next one of the next gold rushes is this whole AI world. How it's going to come to fruition, not really quite sure yet.
Yeah, if you watch the latest All In podcast, shout out to them. They talk about that pretty much in depth about how America needs to build a moat around themselves, because other countries with AI agents can kind of blow a hole in some of the industries that we have a stronghold in, because it will make things just so much easier, right? So much more competition. So alongside tariffs, that's another kind of like, I wouldn't say meteor, but something that we need to watch out for. So that's why choppy. The market is going to be choppy. And what's funny is that there's like four billionaires on there, and they don't even know. They're like, we don't even know what's gonna happen. Like if this gets pulled off though, which they hope that it will, and what their hopes are is that even if the tariffs and the Doge and then raising GDP doesn't go as planned, it's in the right direction. Like that's why I thought we are gonna chop upside, because we're getting to the right direction. So even if they say we don't reach like a 0% income tax, which would be amazing, if we could lower it substantially, that would still offset the tariffs and whatnot that we're all scared of. So we're going the right way as America, and I'm proud to be an American. Is all I gotta say.
Yeah, we definitely are going the right way. In investing in AI is a no-brainer. Last but not least, we always love to talk about the NFT world, but Doodles had a pretty big launch here recently as well. Do you know any details personally about that?
I read the 3-page newsletter, which is has very general information. They just wanted to share that, hey, we are working on an AI platform specifically for doodles and specifically for character creation, developing worlds, lores, and story. And that's what Doodle's good at, creating their own. They do film, right? They have a music with Pharrell, so they are already, talented in that area, and they wanted to be empowered by Dude. So that's another big announcement. Supposedly, their Dude token, their meme token, which has not launched yet, by the way, is going to incentivize individuals to build off of this platform, and it is called DreamNet. So let me just show a picture of it here. Bam. There's a sneak peek there. So that's going to be a great use case for, okay, we have to change this term. Dude is not a meme coin. It is a token. And you know what's funny is the founder of Pudgy Penguins, he wrote like a I would like a 5 6 page thesis on social currencies. That's what he would like for it to be called because meme coins is not the right categorization for things like Pengu, maybe even Bonk, for instance, right? Like what meme coins buying marketplaces, right? You're an actual business at this point, right? You're not. I don't wouldn't consider you a meme coin if you have P&Ls. Same thing with Dude. So that's just a differentiating factor that we may see in the future come about in the meme coin category. I know we're talking about NFTs, but this Doodles is still pushing, and they're looking to do something here. So we're interested to see what it is because you hold the Doodles.
Yeah, I'm a little hot and cold about what's going on with the Doodles. I've been such a big fan of theirs for so long. Felt like they were going in the right direction. Then we had Julian leave. That was their old CEO. Now he's trying to sell his PFP if you've seen him. He's not part of the company anymore. I don't blame him. Killer PFP. Have you seen it at all? It's like a hoodie with rainbow
Let me
hair.
see.
Let me share it with you. It's a great looking doodle, and
Oh yeah.
that's his doodle. It's so well known. Kind of part of me, it wasn't tremendous. I think it was like a $10,000 purchase. Part of me looks at that as a piece of like provenance of, it's such a recognizable piece of their IP because of what he brought to the Doodles team. And now I believe he is selling it or he sold it. Need to double check that. But then we also have this other world of like, Poopy and Evan Keys, who were all co-founders of Doodles. They've have they left Doodles because they announced this new project? Have you seen this at all? Like Project
Mm.
Zero Two. It's something launching in April. We haven't heard a lot about it. So there's something going on here within the Doodles team, for better or for worse. Not exactly sure which direction this is going in, but I do love what they have built currently with the DreamNet protocol. I think embracing the IP, what they're good at, what they've always done, is great for the brand overall. They're gonna have a token launch. I think they're moving in the right direction. But then on the back end, I'm just seeing all this like Project 2 talk, and I'm a little confused about exactly what's going on because there's no affiliation whatsoever with Doodles or the DreamNet protocol. So I was just curious if you knew much about it. It just got really announced recently. So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole Doodles thought process.
Mm-mm, no, I did not hear that at all, unfortunately. I'm looking at NFTs I want to buy, but they haven't been making a huge splash. So I'm still shopping out there, still looking. I just want to pull up the thread that Luca wrote. Social currencies are the future of memes. Really well thought out. He says meme coins are Charizard, but this is, I don't know, the upgraded version. You might know, Brian. You have 4 kids. No, wait, is this Charizard and this little one? I don't know the names, but you know what I mean. Uh, and basically, there's a lot more use cases for meme coins versus just what's been pushed upon us that they're just pure memes. So, yeah, I for one am looking for the NFT projects that really have what is it value, right? We talked about did we talk about Bearish? We didn't talk about Bearish. Bearish right now is helping with an AI bootcamp. They're offering some value there, and there's a lot of different NFT projects that will help, with whatever passion you may have. There's one specifically for trading. There's one specifically for DeFi. There's ones for, creation, and there's ones for like, just for fun. You don't really have to do anything. You just vibe in some. And that's kind of what's happening in the NFT world. People are kind of either finding new ones or abandoning old ones that don't fit the narrative and going with the communities that they like and love.
Yeah, we actually had a little bit of a debacle in the NFT world recently with Gutter Cat Gang. I don't know if you saw that news that they had the gang token release. It was maybe over the weekend, late last week, and they only got, I think, around four, a little bit less than four ETH to their pre-sale of the game token. So I'm not sure if there was an
Wow.
issue there or what, but you can see that, the right NFT projects are absolutely taking off, but there's a lot of trust that needs to be built within these communities. We've said it a million times. if Bitcoin's gonna be chopping between like 75 and $89,000, we're all kind of just like looking around at each other like what's the next move? Personally, this is the time I like to be here and gobble up Bitcoin, Solana, tokens that I've been had my eye on and explore new protocols. You mentioned Bearish. We both have explored that AI boot camp. Shout out to that team because it's a great time to kind of like dive deep and learn because we're not going to be in a bear market. We're not going to be chopping forever. We definitely want to set ourselves up with the right bags that we think are going to take off in the next run. In addition to that, I want to learn as many new skills as I can because I know the space is going to continue evolving.
Yep, that's the right play. And we talk about a lot of different ways to make money during choppy times. This is definitely I don't want to say I've fallen in love with this time frame, which is down or choppy times, but I've been here before. We've been here before, and this is definitely where the opportunities are, for those people that know where the right places to look are. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen this next week because there's always something happening every single week. There's always people buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoins. There's always people making a lot of money in the world of Web3. The question is just where do you want to, put your attention towards? So, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of exciting guests upcoming for our podcast. We got the market updates for you guys. Check us out in our private community where we dive deeper into what the high level stuff that we talked about. And yeah, I'm excited. Anything else, Brian, before we head out for the day?
The only last thing I have for you, Joe, because we talk about it on every show, Pudgy Penguins still right around 10 ETH. Ethereum's creeping down. What number do we need to be at? Do you need ETH at 1500? Do you need a $15,000 Pudgy Penguin? Do you need it to go lower? Where are you at here?
Yeah, the number that we have, just to be transparent, is like 12,000. That was like the number, 12,000. I don't know what ETH is going to be, but that is, I mean, it's still not a low number by any means. I
No,
need I
no.
need a second car. I could buy a second car versus a bunch of penguins. But I do like, what Luca's doing and what he's continued. I was on the spaces with him. I wasn't speaking. He was talking about how his ETF with Capital Canary Groups, and he was like, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, if $1 million comes in, what it can do in the world of NFTs and or it's not going to move the Pudgy so much, the Pengu so much. I'm sorry, because they're like hundreds of millions in market cap and they do millions of dollars of volume. But in the world of NFTs, you dump $1 million in that sucker. It's like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it could definitely catch fire quickly. I do look at the CryptoPunk floor every single day, kind of
Nice.
just still sweating it a little bit, wondering if ETH can, that's the only good thing about ETH going down is that USD value of a CryptoPunk as a non-holder keeps going a little bit lower and keeps enticing me to sell some assets to get one. But I'm in the same boat. I need a major move downward to really start considering that. And then if that happens, I might be a little scared. All right.
Cool.
Well, we appreciate it. We'll see everyone next week.
Later, guys.